What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. Hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well. I most certainly, to an extent, doing pretty well, regardless of the New York Mets, of course. But yeah, hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well on today. Obviously, today is Monday. So the Mets are starting a new series, but obviously in today's stream, we are going to be going over quite a lot, and we are definitely going to have a lot to rant about. Obviously, in today's stream, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series summary. Summarize, pretty much giving the summary of the good, the bad, and the ugly. Emphasis on the bad and the ugly. Then, of course, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series preview, as I got the Astros hat on, of course. Reverse psychology, maybe it'll bring the Mets luck. That's kind of why I do it, of course. But yeah, then we will be going over what to expect, pitching matchups offensively with both of these teams, the Mets and the Houston Astros. Astros are definitely looking interesting this year compared to past years. So we'll be going over that. Then, of course, the Mets farm system, any other Mets news, and, of course, your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you guys have anything that you want to drop below, I know there's definitely a lot to discuss with the Mets. Definitely very frustrating week for the Mets, so we are going to go over that. But before we get into that, everyone, please smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. You could be a Mets fan, a Marlins fan, an Astros fan. I know it says Mets talk, but in reality, it's really baseball talk. But obviously, majority of it is the Mets. But hey, I'm not against talking other baseball teams. So I guess with that said, let's get into the series preview. Or series summary. So obviously the New York Mets played a series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Obviously the Mets were unfortunate enough and only able to take one out of the 3-game set against the St. Louis Cardinals, who were coming in as the third, or still is, the third worst team in baseball and the worst team in the National League. The Mets, well, what did they do? They still found ways to lose, and they only took 1 out of 3. And I mean, when it comes down to that, well, what else is there really to say? They did not play good baseball. First game, they played good baseball. I think game 1 of this 3-game set, Friday's game, was the really first game in a while where there was no drama and no high intensity. Everything went smoothly since the first inning. And Tyler McGill was on the bump, and I was very tough on McGill. I said, if McGill has a bad outing, expect him to be the odd man sent down to AAA. And maybe he heard that, and he said, well, let me show Hayden. And he looked pretty good. 6 innings, 4 hits, a run, 0 walks, 7 strikeouts. And that is big. Obviously, we saw McGill shortened up his stride, but he also changed some stuff there too. He has the slow windup, but then when he releases, he's very fast. That's something new that we've seen from McGill. We haven't seen that from him in his 3-year career. So, like I said, slow windup, but then the release point, and we know the release point has been something complex for him this season. But yeah, I mean, just the slow windup, and then, as he's releasing, he just kind of want to say whips the ball, but very definitely, speedy than in the past couple starts he's had. Otherwise, he looked good. His velo was there to an extent. His cutter looked nice. Slider looked nice. And command of the strike zone was there. Obviously, he got into a couple 3-2 counts, but no walks, 7 strikeouts. And that's a prime McGill start there. I liked what we saw from him this appearance. Like I said, I'm not going to go super crazy over it. Hasn't looked really great at all this season. He's had 1 or 2 good starts, and I'm still not convinced McGill can be this pitcher he was last year. Who knows? Maybe with the stride change, it's something, just an acclimation thing. It's comfortable. I don't know what it is, but hopefully he can figure that out sooner rather than later. But yeah, with that said, McGill looked pretty decent. No complaints with him. The bullpen came in for 3 innings of relief. Dominic Leone, an inning, a hit, a strikeout, 8 pitches, so a quick, clean day from Dominic Leone. And then Josh Walker came in, the lefty, and he looked pretty good. 2 innings, 3 strikeouts. He also had a perfect inning. So, yeah, Josh Walker has also done some great stuff in a Mets uniform in a short sample size so far. So the pitching only limiting the Cardinals to 1 run, 5 hits, obviously a couple good defensive plays, obviously great defense behind the home plate by Francisco Alvarez, throwing out Jordan Walker at third base, which really could have been an inning where the Cardinals could have broke it open, but no, Alvarez got the second out, and then it was an 0-2 count. So definitely big awareness there from Francisco Alvarez. In terms of the offense looked pretty good. 6 runs, 8 hits, and you like to see that. That's what they've been doing really for most of the season. In the first inning, they scored multiple runs. That's the first time this year they scored 3 runs in the first inning. That's crazy. In the first inning, getting things started, Brett Beatty has an RBI double to right to bring in Starling Marte and Jeff McNeil. Couple of following that at bat, Tommy Pham had an RBI single to center to bring in Brett Beatty. Heading on into the third inning, Francisco Lindor had a sac fly to left to bring in Starling Marte. A couple at bats later, Tommy Pham had an RBI single to left to bring in Jeff McNeil. And then in the 6th inning, the impossible happened. Daniel Vogelbach had a solo home run to right, 401 feet. Vogelbach had that week off, and then he had a good first game back, and that's really all he had. But, definitely important to see Vogelbach showing off his power. I know it wasn't a crazy home run, but, definitely something that was kind of needed, I guess, as a confidence booster, morale booster. Vogelbach definitely needed that. And, still not convinced that Vogelbach could be this, hitter he can be, but we will see how that goes. Following that, the Mets won 6-1. So definitely a very much needed outing. McGill with the 6th win on the year. And, the Mets going in, they take game 1, morale's high, but game 2 comes and they say, nah, we don't want to win. Kodai Senga comes in. And Senga, he had kind of a rough outing, but kind of a good outing. 6 2/3 inning, 5 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 8 strikeouts. Like I said, the Mets are going to lose this game 5-3. But Senga had a weird outing, obviously. He had a rough time in the 2nd and 3rd inning, obviously. Just couldn't get out of it. Constantly got ahead in the account, 0-2 count. Constantly got the 2 outs, and he just couldn't execute and get that 3rd out or that 3rd strike. And that's something that we've been seeing a lot from Kodai Senga this season. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a mental thing, a situational thing, an adequate put-away pitch. I really don't know what it is, but this is something that we've seen a lot from Senga, and that's something that he really needs to figure out sooner rather than later. But like I said, afterwards, he looked good. I mean, he only gave up 4 runs, 3 in the 2nd and 1 in the 3rd. Otherwise, the 1st was clean, 4th, 5th, and then the 2 and the 6th were clean. So, I don't know, a weird outing. He had the 8 strikeouts, only walked 1, but the 5 hits and, the long ball was really what killed him. He had gave up 2 opposite field home runs, obviously an opposite field to Goldschmidt and an opposite field to Walker. So, say what you want, the ball was carrying, yada, 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 but a run's a run. It doesn't matter. So, Senga with a weird outing. I mean, his Ghost Fork ball looked nice. He was striking out guys. He got into a jam in the 1st inning and was really able to get out of it, but wasn't able to get out of the later jams that happened in the 2nd and 3rd inning. And otherwise, I mean, his pitch count was there. He was throwing strikes. Command was good. Just a couple pitches that the Cardinals were able to take advantage of and I guess have a little extra power on. So, I mean, it is what it is. It happens. But unfortunately, the offense could only do so much as we'll talk about that in a bit, but the bullpen came in, and the bullpen held down the fort for the most part. Jeff Brigham, an inning, a walk. Brooks Raley, 2 1/3, 3 hits, a run. And then Ottavino, 2 1/3 with 2 strikeouts. So bullpen, you're pitching only, 5 runs, 8 hits. I mean, the bullpen did pretty decent, but unfortunately, baseball's a 2-way game. And in terms of the offense, say what you want about the offense, but I would argue the offense was 50-50 to blame in this game. Obviously, taking a look at the offense, Brandon Nimmo, 2nd pitch of the game, gets things started in the bottom of the 1st inning as Brandon Nimmo has a solo home run to right center, 407 feet. So good to see Nimmo with some power there. And then in the 5th inning, Luis Guillorme, for the first time in forever, has a 2-run homer to right center, 400 feet to bring in himself and Vogelbach. But that's unfortunately all the Mets could do. They had multiple other opportunities where they just couldn't take advantage of. They had many ample opportunities, this Mets team, to score. You had multiple guys with 2 outs in scoring position, and they just essentially could not execute. And I mean, that's really, like I said, that is the Mets' fault. That is the Mets' problem. I don't want to sit here and blame Senga and some of the pitching staff, but guys like McNeil, they're known in clutch situations. They didn't come up. Point blank simple. So Mets lose this game 5-3. Senga with the L. Then game 3 in the final game of this 3-game set, an easily winnable game, but, why would they win that? Carlos Cookie Carras, emphasize ass, Co was on the mound, and he had another meltdown. Big surprise as the Mets lose this game 8-7. Carrasco, 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, 61 pitches, 39 of those were in the zone. Yeah, Carrasco with the shit outing once again. Really, really starting to lose patience with him. He has really been looking horrible. Say what you want, he had like 2 good outings this year, but yeah, he's really been looking horrible. Yeah, and it's really starting to get very frustrating with him. Just silly pitches over the plate. Arenado when first base is open. Immediately got into this game and put the Mets out of it. 2 runs in the first, 3 in the second, and 1 in the third. I mean, you're easily putting your team out 6-0. John Curtis came in for 2 2/3, 2 innings, a run, a walk, 2 strikeouts. Dominic Leone, 1/3. Rayleigh came in. Rayleigh came in for an inning, and the most. Robertson came in for the 8th. 8 pitches, 7 of those were in the strike zone. Coming into the 9th inning, it's a tie game. What does Buck Showalter do? He takes Ottavino out. Why are we taking David Robertson out? So David Robertson went in the 8th inning. 8 pitches, 7 of those were in the strike zone. Clean inning, quick. Coming into the 9th inning, he puts in Ottavino. Why are we not putting Robertson out there for a 2nd inning? He had a quick inning, and it's the meat of the order coming up, and guys like Arenado and Goldschmidt. Those are the big bats there. And for this whole season and all the last year, we would see Buck go to his guys like Diaz and Robertson and his closers to go into the 8th inning and the 9th inning to get the big of the order guys. So I don't understand. People blame Buck, inadequate bullpen management. That's been something for 25 years that he's been horrible at. Call Baltimore. Call New York. He's been horrible with bullpen management. But, I mean, this is a prime example here. Robertson to throw 8 pitches in the 8th inning. Put him out there in the 9th. Why are we focusing on tomorrow's game? Focus on today. Like, I don't understand that about some MLB managers. I get it. You want to win tomorrow. Win today. Because tonight, the Mets could lose 20-0 or they could win 20-0. Probably lose 20-0. Are you going to use Robertson in that scenario? No. So, yeah, stupid decision by Showalter. And then he puts in Ottavino, and obviously Ottavino, an inning, a hit, a run, a walk, and a strikeout. So, once again, just pitching comes down to screw the Mets once again. And you can thank Carlos Carrasco and Billy Epler. The offense did well. I'm not blaming the offense. 7 runs, 6 hits. They battled. In the first inning, the bottom, Francisco Lindor has a solo home run to left center, 401 feet. I like to see him bat as a righty. Lindor needs to stop batting as a lefty. I only want him seeing batting as a righty so far. That's what I want to see. He should be fined every time he bats as a lefty or something like that. In the second inning, Eduardo Escobar has an RBI triple to center to bring in McNeil. A couple of bats later, Brandon Nimmo has an RBI double to left to bring in Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar. In the 4th inning, Mark Canha has an RBI single to center to bring in McNeil. And then in the 5th inning, Tommy Pham has a 2-run homer to right center to bring in Lindor and himself. So, yeah, I mean, otherwise, just the Mets were not able to get the job done. The pitching let them down. I mean, a 1-run ball game that was easily winnable. Easily winnable. Your pitching, Carrasco let you down, but then the offense battled back, but they just couldn't get the job done. After the 5th inning, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they were lights out, the Mets offense. They were tired. Obviously, Marte 0 for 5, Alonso 0 for 4, Alvarez 0 for 4. That's hard. Decent day, good day from Pham, obviously. Great day from Nimmo. Good day from McNeil. Good day from Canha. So, yeah, another winnable game that the Mets threw away. Ottavino gets his 3rd L on the season. So, goes to show you something. And that goes to push the Mets 12.5 game back out of first place. So, otherwise, takeaways from this series, lifeless, sloppy. I mean, just no excuses. That's simple. No excuses. So now the Mets are going down to Houston, and they're going to play a 3-game set against the Houston Astros. And obviously, woohoo, Mets fans should be so excited. They're probably going to get swept. But yeah, obviously tonight starts a 3-game set in Houston as the New York Mets are playing tonight at 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. And Max Scherzer will be on the bump for the Mets. And we talk about pitching. Max Scherzer definitely is in need of a good start. I feel like I've been saying that 1,000 times this year. Max Scherzer so far this season is 5-2 on the season, a 4.45 ERA, a 1.24 WHIP. And, you look at those numbers and they're not great. I mean, you're paying this dude so much money and he's considered one of your aces and, the numbers are not great. He's a guy that is definitely in need of stepping up. Like I said, it's sad that we have to sit here and ask your aces to give you 6-7 innings with only giving up a run or two. His last outing against New York gave up 6 runs. Atlanta, 6 runs. The strikeouts and all the other numbers were there, but I don't care if you have 10 strikeouts, then you're going to give up 7 runs. Because you could dominate the first 2 innings and then, bomb it in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And that's what we saw from Scherzer the last 2 outings he's had. So, it's great if he does well in the first 2 innings, but then, 2nd, 3rd time around the order, is this dude just going to get shelled? So, yeah, sooner rather than later, I mean, how much confidence can we have in Max Scherzer? Listen, you could say he's fried, whatever, but he needs to wake up. And a lot of stupid pitches it's the slider, fastball, needs to wake up. Expectations, I'm praying that he can go out there and give me 6 innings, a run or 2, max. Houston Astros, they have a good pitching staff, obviously. Hunter Brown is on the bump for the Astros tonight. The rookie, pre-arbitration guy, of course. And, yeah, he's been having a pretty good season down in Houston. He's been doing pretty well for, expectations-wise. So we'll see what the Mets could do against him tonight. Going into Game 2. Sorry. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Series preview. Yeah, obviously going into Game 2, which is tomorrow at 8:10 Eastern Standard Time as well. The New York Mets will have Justin Verlander. Yeah, Verlander, obviously, and another interesting situation as Max Scherzer. He's a guy that needs to wake the fuck up. Simple as that. Wake up. Verlander is 2-3 on the season, a 4.40 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP. I mean, do those sound like $30 million a year stats to you? No. Your 2 aces are having a huge letdown this season. What can you say? That's what happens when you go out and sign a 41 and 39-year-old pitching staff. I mean, I don't need to tell you that, but Verlander, yeah, I mean, simply enough, the long ball. I mean, and that's been the ultimate thing for this New York Mets pitching staff this year is the long ball. This pitching staff loves to give up home runs, and they need to keep the ball in the park. Keep the ball in the park, and I think decent things could happen. Because if you look at it, I mean, look at guys like Scherzer and Verlander starts this year. How many runs have they given up via the home run versus in the park? Think about it. Otherwise, mix up his pitch as well. Fastball, slider, changeup, curve. Battle through the first inning. That's kind of been a historic thing through Verlander. So battle through the first inning. Otherwise, keep that pitch count low, swinging and misses. Hopefully they chase. But we'll see how Verlander goes tonight. And they will be facing the lefty Framber Valdez, who also has been having another phenomenal year once again. And then getting into Game 3 and the final game of this 3-game set against the Houston Astros, the New York Mets will be playing this game Wednesday, 2:10 Eastern Standard Time, as the New York Mets will have Tyler McGill on the bump for the Mets. And McGill is hopefully going to have a bounce-back start. I mean, obviously, he had a great start his last appearance. Hopefully, he can carry that on into Houston against a pretty good Houston Astros lineup. Obviously, McGill is 6-4 on the season, a 4.83 ERA, and a 1.61 WHIP. So, yeah, not much positives to take after reading that. But, yeah, McGill needs to wake up. He needs to keep that short and stride intact. Fastball, slider, bridge, some pitches with a cutter. Hopefully, he can get those swinging and misses, keep the ball on the ground. Command, control of the strike zone is going to be huge. Locate the zone. I don't want him throwing the ball, 20 feet off the plate, and Alvarez or whoever the catcher is working a lot. You need to keep the ball in the strike zone. Point blank simple. Unless they're going to chase, but this is an Astros lineup that's very good offensively. So we'll see how things go there. And then they will be facing Christian Javier, who once again is a very good pitcher. Arguably could be in contention for Cy Young. I think all three of these Astros pitchers could be in contention for Cy Young. So, I mean, that really goes to show you just how good this Astros pitching staff is. And that's a huge, huge issue. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to really just have to see how this series goes. I don't have really any expectations for this team. I dare to say I think they'll probably get swept. I mean, I think if they take one, I think that's an accomplishment, which is pretty sad to say. Obviously, looking at it, the Mets are 33-38, 16-23 on the road. You got Pete Alonso back. That's good. So hopefully Alonso could mash. He has some pretty good numbers in Minute Maid Park. Brandon Nimmo's been doing pretty well lately. But overall, I mean, the offense is there. You're scoring runs. You're getting on base. I mean, the Mets are, like I said, a similar team offensively to the Astros when it comes to the average, runs scored, hits, home runs, OBP, slugging. I mean, the Mets average 240, Astros 245. Mets runs 316, Astros 321. Mets hits 565, Astros 597. Mets home runs 85, Astros 81. Mets OBP 319, Astros 315. Mets slugging 397, Astros 400. Similar team offensively. Obviously, yeah, I hate to compare teams when it comes to that, but the offense isn't the issue. It's the pitching, and I think me and everyone knows that. When your pitching staff is giving up 7-8 runs, I mean, how much of a burden that is for your offense? You got to work. It's hard. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to this, I don't have expectations. Astros, 39-33, 20-18 on the road. They're doing pretty well this year. Obviously, they just got swept against the Reds, so they're not very happy about that. They had a good series against them, but they got swept. Yeah, I mean, the Astros are 1-4 in their last 5. Mets are 2-3 in their last 5, so maybe that's the only positive thing you could say right there. But otherwise, Astros, I mean, you got Lance McCullers, Jose Urquidy on the IL. Michael Brantley is on the IL. But really, like I said, not much expectations for this Mets team going in. I mean, I think if they take one, I think that'd be a massive success. If they don't take any, I really wouldn't be surprised. When it comes to Mets players that I think we should keep an eye out for, players that I think could be having a good series for this team, I think number one, I think I'm going to go Francisco Lindor. I think Lindor is going to have a good series. I think he is going to step up a bit. Obviously, he has that new dad power, so I think he'll step up. Obviously, they will be facing a lefty, so he will be batting righty at least one game this series. So I guess that is a good thing. We'll see how that goes. So I got Francisco Lindor as my number one guy. Number two, I am going to go with Brandon Nimmo. I think Nimmo will have a pretty good series. We'll see how that goes. And number three, I'm going to go Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham has been putting the ball on the bat. He's been hitting the ball really hard and getting on base and being a big part to this team's offense. So I think Tommy Pham will also have a good series. So my three guys are Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, and Tommy Pham. So, yeah, we're going to have to just honestly wait and see how that goes. I think it's going to be an exciting series, of course, for the Astros. I don't know about the Mets. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But, yeah, otherwise, that is the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series preview, obviously previewing that. And then, of course, the New York Mets summary, and then the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series preview, pretty much previewing really what we can expect in that series preview for the Mets and the Astros. My expectations is I honestly think they're going to get swept. I think at most they'll take 1 of 3. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that goes. So, yeah, I guess let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into some of your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you have anything, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. And yeah, we will get into it. Like I said, it could be about the Mets, the Astros, the Braves, the Padres, Tigers. It could be MLB related. I know it says Mets Talk with Hayden, but in reality, it's really baseball talk with Hayden. So let's get everyone in the chat. Let's greet everyone. Peter, Mark's here. Lane, Logan, Connor, good to see you. Gio, how's it going? Lane, that is true. Dion, Trey, Cedric, Ryan, Baseball Media, Seth, Cal, Kobe, Gio, Captain Morgan, how is it going? Hopefully everyone is doing extremely well. I appreciate everyone for tuning in to today's stream as per always. And Alex with our first comment of the day, and this is actually a really good comment. Alex says, is it me or is this team starting to get hit mentally? They have been looking very sluggish on the field. Yeah, I mean, Alex, I agree with that statement completely. And I mean, I hate to compare teams, but I am. Right now, this New York Mets team is looking awfully a lot like the first half Philadelphia Phillies from last year. Just sloppy defensively, sloppy on the base paths, just boneheaded things that cost runs and destroy opportunities. And that's what the Mets are doing right now. Obviously, the difference with the Phillies and Mets is the Phillies, that was more talent-wise. It's just more mental-wise. And I think right now this team is just getting hit mentally. I think this team has not been playing well. And I think now they're carrying those inadequate vibes and, you know, just being upset about losing and not playing well. And it's hitting them mentally. And they're carrying it onto the field. These errors and these mistakes that the Mets are playing are not performance and talent, errors. They're mental errors. You know, these are obviously all great guys defensively and speed and on the base pass, but they're just making, they're just getting hit so hard mentally right now that it's hitting them. And that's the issue right now with this team. They're looking sloppy defensively. They're not making plays that need to be needed. I mean, they're getting picked off on the base paths. This team has been looking very, very sloppy. They need to pick it up because obviously it's one thing if if the team's in a 2-month slump or if they're looking really bad, which that's what this Mets team has been for the past month and a half. But when you're carrying it onto the field, that's an issue. And something needs to be addressed when it comes to that. But yeah, I agree. Like I said, Alex, this team is looking awfully a lot like last year's first half Philadelphia Phillies, just very sluggish. Guys are getting very lazy, and that is one thing I am getting a little upset about. You seeing guys like in the outfield, Marte or Pham. There's a ground ball, they'll walk to it. Put in 100% effort. If you're going to half-ass something, I don't have respect for that. So we'll see. Roberto, how's it going, man? I appreciate you tuning in as per always. He says people are blaming Showalter for the Mets' struggles and the way they're playing, but I would like to say that Showalter is not the one to blame so far. The players as well as the pitching are the ones to blame. Yeah, no, Roberto, I mean, I agree with that. For the most part. I mean, I think when it comes to it, I would say Showalter, I would say he's the scapegoat right now. I mean, any team that does bad, their manager is going to get blamed. When it comes down to it, everyone's responsible. When it comes to the bullpen management with Buck, okay. At the end of the day, if your starters are only going 4 innings, giving up 6 runs, what is there for Buck to do? What do you want him to do? Throw his bullpen in for, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th, and then have them overtaxed and overburdened, which they already are. I think when it comes down to Buck Showalter, the only part I blame him on is the bullpen management, but that's been something for 25 years, so that's not anything I'm surprised about. And that's not even cost us really any game. That's cost us 3 games this year, maybe 5. But the thing where I would blame Buck Showalter is people say, should Buck be fired? He shouldn't be fired, but he needs to start lighting fire under people. When I see Buck Showalter in the dugout, doing nothing, or his press conferences, they're a joke. He's proud of his team after getting swept in Atlanta because they were able to put up 10 runs. He's looking at the positives after these losses. What's positive? There's nothing positive about losing a game. I don't care if Pete Alonso hits a home run and Brandon Nimmo goes 3 for 4 and the Mets lose 7-1. That doesn't matter. If they win, that's great. But at the end of the day, that goes out the door if they lose. Buck Showalter just picking all these positives. Who cares? I don't care. He needs to start lighting a fire under these guys. And like I said, he needs to stop babying a lot of these guys. And listen, I'm not saying he needs to go after and say, John and Bill and X, Y, and Z, they're playing horrible. But he needs to start taking accountability. He needs to start saying certain guys are not playing well. We're making mistakes in the field, mental mistakes. Our pitching isn't performing. He needs to start, light a fire under your guys. We've seen in the past managers and GMs go off in the clubhouse, throw chairs, scream at guys, and they get fired up from it. We saw in 2019, Brody Van Wagenen, I know he's a GM, but still, he threw a chair in a coaches meeting with the players. The Mets went like 14 out of their next 15. They won. Someone needs to light a fire under this team because there is no chemistry now. All the morale is rock bottom. And Buck Showalter's just sitting there saying, well, I'm proud. We battled. He said we battled. I'm like, who the fuck are you, Mickey Callaway? Like, are you kidding? Yeah, I am upset with Showalter when it comes to that. But at the end of the day, when Verlander and McGill are going 4 innings, giving up 6 runs, I mean, what is there for Buck to do? I think when it comes to majority of the blame, it's your pitching. It's that simple. The reason you're losing is your pitching. I mean, the offense has definitely been, bipolar this season, but there's games too where the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Astros only score 2-3 runs and your pitching holds down the fort. Look last year, how many games did this Mets team won last year? 1-0, 2-0. The offense is doing fine. Is it great? No, but it's doing fine. If your pitching was doing what the offense was doing in terms of performance, I think you would be in a much better situation. There's some cons with this offense. I mean, Vogelbach and maybe Escobar still and Marte, but, it's not my top worry, and it's not the reason your record is what it is. It's your starting pitching. It's that simple. When your guys are going 4 innings, giving up 7 runs, and then your overtaxed bullpen comes in, I mean, what? You want your offense to score 20 runs instead of 10? I mean, what do you? So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to the blame, it's the starting pitching. Or the pitching overall, I should say. Your pitching. That gets, I would say, more than half of the blame for this season. Next up, I would say Billy Epler. I mean, Epler gets the blame. He's the reason that he invested in a veteran rotation. Everyone's held accountable, but my main two, Roberto, is probably your pitching and Epler. Buck, like I said, I mean, how much can we really go after him anymore? But like I said, these players are just not playing well. Cal, what's going on? He says Jeremy Hefner has to be the first to go. This team is unwatchable. Yeah, I agree with that, Cal, and I said that last night. I think the Mets really need to fire someone to show a message, and I think that may as well be Jeremy Hefner. Because if the starting pitching is your weakness, you may as well. I don't know why people love Jeremy Hefner. I don't know if it was because DeGrom. Well, DeGrom's not here anymore, so who cares? But like I said, if your pitching is the reason you are where you are, which it is, that guy should not be there anymore. And I think if they fire someone, whether it's the janitor, lowest position, that's going to wake guys up, and that's going to say, oh, shit, guys are, getting fired. Maybe let's start to pick it up a little bit. Shit's getting real, essentially. Because right now, there's no accountability. No one's doing anything. However, if, the players and the teams, sees people coming in and out, guys are getting fired. Look at 2021. The Mets fired Chili Davis after, a month? And we've been dealing with this shitty starting pitching for 2 months. So I really don't know. I mean, when it comes to Hefner, it is what it is. But I'd rather them fire him. And listen, even if they fire him in the starting pitching and the pitching is still bad, at least they could say they tried. Because right now, I'd rather them try and do something and lose still. I mean, yeah, you have to try is essentially really what it is. Captain Morgan, what's going on? He says this 2023 team has been frustrating to watch. Fingers crossed they could turn things around. Yeah, hopefully, man. It's a 162-game season for a reason. Kobe says when the Mets pitch well, they don't hit. When they hit, they don't pitch well. So frustrating. Yeah. Definition of inconsistency is this Mets team. They love to be inconsistent. And that's kind of been the killer of them this season. Yeah, Lane, I absolutely would. I would. It doesn't hurt. Crossface commentary, what's going on? He says this team not making the postseason. Yeah, I would be inclined to agree. Kobe says, when will Jose Quintana return? So Quintana did have another rehab start. I think he did pretty well. I think he went like 4 innings, only giving up a run. So that, that obviously is good to see, very much needed to see. So hopefully he could return. maybe within the next week or two. But even then, I mean, he's a nice lefty presence. But is he going to spark something? Probably not. Like I said, when everyone says, "Oh, you're starting pitching," oh, don't worry. In the past, okay, yeah, maybe you could have made the argument. Oh, well, we're getting DeGrom back from the IL. Well, you don't. Right now, who are you getting back? Quintana? I mean, no offense to Quintana, but how much can he really help this rotation once a week? Captain Morgan says Alvarez gives me hope. He crushes balls. Haven't seen that much power since Jose Canseco. Yeah, Captain Morgan. I mean, Francisco Alvarez is really, really overachieving this year. I mean, he's been having a great rookie campaign. Offensively, I mean, power is insane. I mean, like you said, Jose Canseco, Piazza power. I mean, exit velocity, hard hit metrics, love them. Home runs are there. Defensively is really where he came out of the surprise. I mean, the defensive metrics, framing, love him. And nobody really expected him to be that great defensively. I still thought he still needed to develop defensively, but yeah, really, really came out of the woods and looks great defensively. I mean, robbed a lot of balls this year and had them called strikes. So he's definitely a great catcher. And I think it's safe to say the Mets have their catcher. For the last 4 years. I mean, obviously, you had the 2020 period last year and 2021, but it seems right now, they definitely have their catcher for the future. And you have Kevin Parada developing, so that always doesn't hurt. Dion says Epler and Vogelbach doing the chop in my dreams right now. Yeah, they probably are. Yeah, Cal, and that's what I say too. Crazy 2 years ago, the Mets had one of the best rotations of baseball. Now sitting here in 2023, they have one of the worst. It goes to show you what happens when you have an incompetent GM that invests in a veteran rotation. And I get it. Okay, say what you want about Bassett, say what you want about Walker. I mean, things I will say. Carrasco, for example. I did not see any reason to bring back Carlos Carrasco. He's getting up there in age. He's on the decline. His velocity is going down. His stuff isn't as sharp as what it used to be. I would have much rather have went out there and signed Taijuan Walker and Chris Bassett than over Carrasco. At least those guys are younger. At least they're durable. They go out there every fifth day, and you have a decent expectation on what you'll get out of them. Okay, so that's Carrasco. Obviously, the only reason they signed Verlander was because you lost DeGrom. And I think that was kind of a panic move by the Mets, and they signed Verlander. Could, instead of Verlander, use that? You sign 3 pitchers on the market? Probably. But, you look at what Bassett's doing. You look at what Walker's been doing, and, they're not elite. They're not elite, but it's better than what half this rotation is right now. Trey says, who is the most underrated player in MLB right now? That's a good question. Like someone on the Reds, maybe. That's actually a really good question. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's like any rookies or. I'll tell you, Trey, that's a question you stumped me on. I mean, there's just so many guys. I mean, I just can't even think. Yeah, I mean, Wander Franco's doing very well this season. Let's see a couple guys maybe that are having good years and are not getting really recognized. I would say like Wander Franco's having a pretty good year. Yandy Diaz. Let's see. Josh Jung, he's from the Rangers, is having a pretty good season. Not getting talked about as much. We mentioned Wander Franco. I mean, Adley Rushman's pretty good. I don't really know if you'd say. I mean, I think he gets the respect he does. Yeah, those are just a couple guys. Austin Hayes. Kalanick is having a pretty decent year. Kevin Kiermaier. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say who's the most underrated. In terms of the Mets, I say Nimmo's a pretty underrated guy. We play the Phillies next Friday night and Saturday and Sunday. That is true. The Mets need to get fired up and change their culture and chemistry ASAP before it's too late, says Cedric. Yeah, I agree with that. Look at this team chemistry right now. Lane says, why are you wearing an Astros hat? I don't know. I usually like to wear hats. I mean, obviously I wear a hat different stream, but I figured, Mets are playing the Astros. I don't know, maybe reverse psychology. If I wear the Astros hat, the Mets will win. Who knows? When is Buck Showalter on the hot seat, says Captain Morgan. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd imagine he has to be on it. I mean, like I said, I couldn't tell you what goes on in the front office, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there is conversation of what Buck's future looks like maybe next year. Same can go with Epler. Obviously, we know that there's talks of David Stearns coming in as the president of operations, so we'll see. Gio says, what's the next step after a closed-door meeting? Yeah, it's the million-dollar question. Obviously, the Mets had a closed-door meeting after they got swept in Atlanta. Obviously, lost 2-3 against Pittsburgh. And yeah, didn't really do great against St. Louis and split against the Yankees. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, what comes next? I think guys will start to get fired. I think it's that simple. The Yankees got swept by Savannah Banana impersonators. That's funny. I'll tell you, Yankees, they've say we want about their record, but they're, in fourth place, like 9-10 games back from first place. They're also in a tough spot. They don't have Judge. And what? They lost the Red Sox series. They split the Mets series. They lost the other Red Sox series. Yankees are also been in a tough situation too. Z, what's going on? He says, do you think we should be sellers at the deadline? I think we need to start getting some young arms in our farm system. Yeah, Z, I mean, that's a good question. And I mean, right now, I think when it comes down to it, who could the Mets offer? You have Mark Canha. You have Starling Marte. You have Eduardo Escobar, David Robertson, and I would argue that's about it. Robertson could probably get you, two good prospects, I would argue. When it comes to Marte, he has 2 more years left. I don't know about him. I don't know if teams would want to pick that up. I would really just say Canha, Escobar, and maybe Robertson. And yeah, I think the Mets could get some good stuff out of that. But I mean, I was speaking about it last night with Talking Mets with Rob, and we pretty much came to the consensus that if the Mets are, in the position they are now, coming July 1st, yeah, I mean, is there really much of a point of going all out at the deadline? Is there a point of, trying to buy guys? If pitching's their concern and, Scherzer and Verlander or maybe one other guy picks it up and you only have 2 guys that are kind of worried about, maybe you can. But we haven't seen that. So, yeah, I mean, Z, that's a good question. I mean, I agree that regardless of the deadline, the Mets farm system is definitely in need of pitching. This Mets team loves to draft shortstops and outfield, shortstops and catchers. All they do is shortstops and catchers. They love that. And hopefully that's done because you have Alvarez, you have Lindor, you have Parada, you have Mauricio, you have 30 other guys, infielders. No more infielders. I want them to draft pitchers and outfielders. That's all they should be drafting for the next 2 years. This draft, I wanted to see I want it to be outfielders and pitchers, all mine. I don't want to see a single infielder drafted or catcher. It should all be pitchers and outfielders because that's what the Mets lack. And, the Mets pitching minor leagues, you got Mike Vasil, you got Blake Tidwell. They're young, AA. So, people are saying, oh, call them up. Maybe September if they could really spark. But if anything, I think they'll be called up next year. And, I mean, that's really it. Matt Allen is recovering from Tommy John. And, you don't really have any other guys besides, like I said, Blake Tidwell and, Mike Vasil. This Mets team needs to draft starting pitching. They need to have, they don't have a lot of starting pitching in the minor leagues. I mean, yeah, you got your Lucchese's and those guys, sure, but you need to develop more pitching prospects. Like I said, they love developing, infielders, but, change it up. Haley says the New York Mets are falling apart. Yeah, that's kind of been the story of the season. Stoney, what's going on? He says, hey, little bro, I'm rooting for Pete too. Have a big series. That's my pick. We need him to get back on the home run lead. Yeah, obviously Ohtani took it up, but, Pete was out for a week, so you got to give him an excuse for that. Yeah, no, Stoney, I agree with you. Hopefully Alonso can hit some power. Obviously, he came back much earlier than expected, which is good. So we'll see how he goes. Let's get a win for the Mets, says Lane, hopefully. Stoney says, why am I wearing, bro, are you trying to piss off the Mets this series wearing an Astros hat. I just figured reverse psychology. Maybe if I wear the Astros hat, the Mets will win. Who knows? Cal says scale of 1 to 10. How worried are you? I would probably say I'm at a 7.5. And yeah, any team could turn it around, but I mean, right now, how much longer are we going to wait? It's a 162 game season, and this team can get hot, sure, but can they do it before it's too late? You saw in 2019 that was the case, and yeah, like I said, I'm really not too confident. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets finished the season like 81, 81, 82, 80, 80, 82, or even 5-10 games under. And if that's the case, it'd be a massive disappointment. Yeah, Lane, Marlins are a good team. I mean, I could see them finishing second in this division. They're a very good team this year. And that's without Sandy Alcantara, playing very well. You have guys like Yuri Perez, Braxton Garrett, Jesus Luzardo, Edward Cabrera pitching really well. And then their offense has just woken up. Obviously, Luis Arias has been great for them. Brian De La Cruz, Gary Cooper, Jorge Soler. I mean, they've just all around been a very good team. The bullpen's been very good. AJ Puck has been great in the closer role. So Marlins have been a very good team. Z says pitching seems to be a harder fix than hitting. I mean, yeah, I would agree. Hitting's kind of that thing where, the offense, guys have slumps, but, offensively you go out there every day. But pitching, mainly every 5 days, or if you're a reliever, every other day. So, yeah, it is a much harder thing to fix. And I guess with offense, kind of have more chances, I guess you could say, where pitching you don't. And, yeah, I agree. And especially for this Mets team, it's going to be harder to fix the pitching because, you're dealing with older guys. You're dealing with guys that are really not great. In terms of, your good bullpen is, Drew Smith, and, those aren't World Series caliber guys. The only guy in this bullpen I trust is Robertson and Raley, and that's it. Alyssa says, what's the Mets' biggest concern right now? Pitching. That's simple. Exactly, Alex. Kobe says, biggest strength and weakness for the team. Weakness, pitching, strength. Heck, I'll say it. Offense. Why not? They score runs. They're scoring 10 runs a game and still losing. The Mets just can't win games this season going into 2023. Why? Yeah, simply enough. Pitching. That's the reason they love GM Michael. It's absolutely. Wayne says, what's the news on Drew Smith? So Drew Smith was suspended, and he should be back, I want to say, after the Astros series. That should be 10 days. So we'll see how that goes. Stoney says, do you think we will take the Astros series? Probably not. I think they'll probably take 1 of 3. Maybe get swept, but we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, yeah, that's really all I got when it comes to that. If anyone else has any more comments, questions, concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. Otherwise, we are going to call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into today's stream. As always, we had a phenomenal stream talking about the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series preview, and then the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series summary. No, I don't think the Mets are going to call it Mauricio, and tonight is going to be Max Scherzer on the mound for the New York Mets. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, like I said, in today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series summary, and then the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series preview, pretty much previewing that, going over the Mets farm system, Mets concerns, and of course, all of your guys' comments, questions, and concerns, anything related to the Mets, the Marlins, really just all things MLB. So yeah, otherwise, we are going to call it a stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. Quick little announcement, quick little update. I did mention, I think once or twice in the past, but I will be going away for 3 weeks. I will be meeting up with my good friend Christian, a fellow YouTuber, MLB Chatterbox. He does YouTube, so definitely check him out. He's been on the channel once or twice in the past. But I will be going up to his area in Michigan, and we will be going to 2 Detroit Tiger games, a Chicago Cubs game, a Chicago White Sox game, 2 Toronto Blue Jays games, and potentially a Cleveland Guardians game. So we are definitely going to be baseballed out by the end of it, but we will be up there. So I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks. I won't be in my awesome setup. Don't worry. I am going to bring my laptop up, so I'm going to try and do some streams They may be a little short. They may not be like an hour, 45 minutes, but I'll definitely do streams previewing and summarizing series, of course. So, like I said, won't be anything changed. I just won't be in my glorious setup. So yeah, otherwise that is a little announcement. Maybe I'll post some pictures on Twitter and Instagram if you guys want to follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden. Otherwise, yeah, that's really all I got in today's stream. If you are rewatching this on replay, I appreciate you for tuning in. Give this video a like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. And yeah, that's really all I got. Mets Astros tonight. I really don't have much expectations, but like I said, I'm still gonna come on here and talk with you guys, even if the Mets lose every single game, because I like coming on here and talking with you guys. It's passion, and listen, Mets are not playing well, and still suffer with your team when they play bad, and you cheer for them, and you're happy when they do good. That's why I respect fans like Athletics and Royals fans, because they're still passionate about their team. And if there's any Royals or Athletics YouTubers out there, I would shake your hand. I absolutely would. So yeah, otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning into the stream as always. LFGM, let's go Mets, let's go baseball. Mets, Astros tonight. Next time I'll stream, I will probably be in a different location, but doesn't matter. Otherwise, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Let's go Mets, let's go baseball. Mets Nation, that's right.